So, you have decided to learn a new language, and the biggest question on your mind is, how long will it take me to learn this language? Hmm. This takes us back to one of the mysteries of the language learning world. How long does it take to learn a language? This is one of those questions, like how long is a piece of string, or what's the meaning of life? It's one of those. And I guess like the most basic answer to the question, how long is a piece of string, is to follow it up with a question like, what do you need the string for? And once a person uh, tells you, like, for example, if I tell you that, oh, I only need a piece of string to tie it around my finger just so that I remember to buy more string. Okay. So in that case, I guess like just a small piece of string is enough for me. All right. The one that I require. Uh, the same concept applies in language learning. In order to answer the question, how long will it take me to learn blah blah language, you have to ask yourself, what target do you have in mind? Is it complete proficiency, for example, or like passing an exam and achieving C1 or even C2 level? Then it's going to take much longer. On the other hand, you just say that, oh, I'm going to meet some guests, and I just want to be able to say hello, hi to them, and just to have a very basic conversation. Obviously, this is an informal setting, and you're just going to be speaking, and you won't have to worry about writing and all, reading and all that other stuff. It's going to be much faster. It's going to be much quicker. However, there should be some general expectations. For example, like there's the obvious point that it all depends on your personality, just like going to the gym, right? Like if you go to the gym, or if a person goes to a gym, one person is able to start lifting heavy weights and increase the weights, like very quickly, and then develop a real good body real quick. And on the other hand, there's another person who, even when doing basic exercises, they feel like some kind of a sprain, or like they're not able to increase the weights, they're not able to develop muscles. Same thing, same concept, with language learning. Some people are better at it, just have a knack for it, and they do everything much quicker. But after having taken all of these ifs and buts out of the way, let's just say what is reasonable to expect for a normal person. Okay, I'm going to throw a number out there, and then we're going to work around that number. 1 year. I say that it's reasonable for a person to say that they can learn a language in 1 year. But, and this is a big but here, which is going to change everything. Okay? You must keep some things in mind. Number one, I'm talking from the perspective of a person who is learning this language as a hobby. Okay? Not to pass an exam, not to work professionally in that language, and none of that stuff. Like just informal, like reading normal texts, not specialized texts, and writing messages and emails, just that stuff, not like writing a whole essay which is going to be published and to be distributed among millions of people. No, I'm talking about like as a language learner. And if you want to hear my opinions about what it means to be able to speak a language, what level of proficiency allows you to make that claim, I have another video on my channel about that. You can check that out. But let's go back. Yeah, I said 1 year. Now, and then I added a big like a conjunction at the end. But there are a couple of things which can actually change this number. It can make it much longer. It can make it 1.5 years, even 2 years, or it can make it even much shorter, maybe even 9 months, maybe 7 months, 6 months, 4 months. You never know. Now, what are those elements? Okay. Number one, writing system. What writing system does that language use? Now, for example, if you're an English speaker or a French speaker or a German speaker, your language already uses the Latin alphabet. If you're learning another language that uses the Latin alphabet, that takes care of a major problem. you won't struggle when reading, at least in terms of pronouncing the sounds, depending on how crazy the spelling system is in that language. Just ask Polish learners or even English learners, you know. Yeah. So yeah, writing system is one point. If it uses a writing system that you can read already, things are going to be easy for you. Uh, the same is the point for Urdu speakers, because Urdu uses the Arabic script. So if you're going to learn Arabic or Persian or another language that uses the Arabic script, it's going to be somewhat easier for you. It's going to be less challenging than it would be for a person who does not know how to read that script. Okay, another example is the Cyrillic script, you know, for Russian and other languages. That was one point. Another point, language family. What does that mean? You know, some languages are similar because they belong to the same family. For example, I just talked about Russian. Russian is a Slavic language. Other Slavic languages include Polish, Ukrainian, Belarusian, Czech, and other similar languages. And then if you come to Europe, you have French, which is a Romance language. So is Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian. These are all Romance languages. So if you speak one language within the same language family, then another language in the same language family is going to be somewhat easier for you, or not as challenging as learning another language which is from a different language family. You know, let me give you this example. I gave you the example of the Romance languages in Europe. There are also Germanic languages. You have German, you have English, you have Norwegian, you have Swedish, which go on into the Nordic languages. So yeah, even though both the Germanic languages and the Romance languages use the Latin alphabet, but because they are from different language families, so even though you know how to read that writing system, it's going to be challenging because if a French speaker tries to learn German, that's going to be more difficult, as opposed to that French speaker trying to learn Italian or Spanish or Portuguese. Same language family. That's another element. And just remember, even within language families, there are subgroups. You know, if you talk about like Semitic languages, there are West Semitic and East Semitic languages. The same with the Slavic languages. On the one side, you have languages like Russian and Belarusian, Ukrainian, which are in one subgroup, and on the other side, you have some other Slavic languages that, even though they're Slavic languages, but that's a different subgroup. So yeah, writing system and language families, that these things make a lot of difference. All right. And here's another beautiful point, you know. The more languages you speak within the same language family, the easier it becomes for you to learn another language within the same family. So for example, if you're a French speaker and then you learn Italian, so these are both Romance languages. If you try to learn a third Romance language, it's going to be even easier than it was for you to learn the first Romance language, which was, for example, after French, if you learn Italian and then you learn Spanish, the level of difficulty is going to be even lower. Okay. By the way, in some cases, this does not apply because there are some language isolates. Some languages are just completely different from all the other languages. They're not related to any other language. And these are some linguistic mysteries, you know, like, yeah, some people, they try to describe and define some kind of language family or whatever, but no, Japanese is one of those languages. Finnish is one of those languages. And yeah, so if you're trying to learn one of those languages, good luck. I wish you strength and I admire you. So yeah, going back to that point, I said how long it takes to learn a language. Oh yeah, how much time are you willing to put in? For somebody who has the time, because it's not easy, you know, somebody who has the time, and not just the time, but the ability to dedicate that free time to language learning. That's also another point. For some people, it's easier to maintain that level of concentration. For some people, it's not that easy. You know, for some people, 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, that's all they can do. If they try to do any more, they are not able to absorb that knowledge. It's going to be a question of diminishing returns. So yeah, on the other hand, if somebody who has the free time and who can actually spend more time, like maybe 4 hours, 5 hours. Yeah, I do know there are some people who do even more, 5, 6 hours, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. Yeah, it depends, on the time of the year and the mood and a lot of other factors, because I've done that myself, so I know it's possible. The more effort you put in, the shorter your time becomes to learn that language. Okay? So yeah, these are my 2 cents about the length of time it would take to learn a language. Let me know what you think about these things. Do you think that these things are really like a major factor in determining the amount of time it would take to learn a language? Or is there anything else that I left out? Please let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.